Hello, trainers. This is time for the first part of my story. Now, first off, just to get this out of the way, the first 17 episodes are true. So everything up to the point where we all went to the giant Pokemon Island, all that stuff is true. However, the episode following it, the two episodes following it, the one about the Tentacool and Tentacruel, as well as the events in Beauty and the Beach, those are all filler. The only thing worth there that took place was Misty catching Horsey. But otherwise, those can be disregarded. We just made it onto regular land. Following these events, all the stuff from Ghost of Maiden's Peak to Primeape Goes Bananas are all pretty much true. And please don't ask about why there was a talking Ghastly that was overpowered or about Venusaur. It was weird, okay? Now, after these events, the next part is actually where things really change significantly. Now, you see, as you remember, next episode was the one where I face Erica, and it starts off kinda true, but this is the one thing that people don't realize is that this was actually the battle that triggered Charmander's evolution. It wasn't later on with that Executor stuff that took place. No. It actually happened during the battle with Erica. Because, as you'll remember, when I finally got into the gym under the disguise of Ashley, yeah, I'm embarrassed about it too, but nonetheless, once that actually took place, after the battle started with Tangela defeating that my Bulbasaur, and then, of course, I sent out Charmander, and it was actually after defeating Weepinbell that Charmander evolved into Charmeleon. Now you're wondering, well, what happened after that? Well, that was kinda how I lost the battle too, because as soon as Charmander evolved, as you recall, he became disobedient. And it was because Charmeleon refused to battle Gloom, that was what actually caused him to lose and be disqualified. It wasn't anything about that stench. That makes no sense. When has that ever happened in games? Seriously, it makes no sense. It was actually just the fact that Charmeleon refused to battle Gloom, making him disqualified for the match. Now, of course, after that, the rest of the episode was pretty true, though as you can figure by that, the two later episodes known as March of the Executor Squad and Problem with Paris are now discontinued and no longer took place. Now, after defeating Erica, here's where it gets a little interesting, because thing of it is, after that event, it was actually the Jigglypuff episode that takes place right after. To be honest, it happened in Celadon City. Yeah, you probably thought it was in Neon Town, which is just some made-up place they told you about, but no, it actually took place in Celadon City. I mean, why else do you think there would be a nightlife and a casino and all that other stuff? Yeah, it actually happened here. And to be honest, after those events, before you even get back to where the story continued, we actually then got the prehistoric Pokemon episode where I found the egg. That actually happened right after the Jigglypuff one. Hence which of course, as you remember, was the scene where Charmeleon evolves into Charizard. That all happened, it's all true, it's just that it didn't happen way later, it actually happened right away, so other than that, really, the big difference here is that these events took place earlier, and as a result, the whole egg thing, it actually took a lot longer to hatch than they told you. Yeah, Togepis take a long time to hatch, believe it or not. Now, following these events, all the things from Dig Those Diglets to Hypno's Nap Time, or I think it was the other way around, but either way, all those episodes between those two episodes, all those are actually true. It's canon, it happened. Only difference really is that I had an egg with me. Other than that, it happened, it's all true. Everything from Misty getting Psyduck to the whole Diglett joke. Diglett dig, Diglett dig, Diglett dig. Trio, trio, trio. Yeah, it all happened. We all know it, the story. But after that, the next story we get about was where I battled Koga, and this one has a small change, because as you'll remember, I just said that Charmander evolved much earlier than he was said to have evolved. And as you know, Charizard won't obey me yet. So you're wondering, how did I win this gym battle? Well, let's put it this way. It wasn't Charmander who ended up defeating Koga's Golbat, it was actually Squirtle who did the victory. that was how it went down, and still the results were the same. I won the Soul Badge and saved the gym from Team Rocket. Well, okay, Psyduck did that, but still, all those events took place. Nothing was different there other than the Pokemon that I used. But Squirtle did do a pretty good job battling that Golbat. I'll give him that much. Now, following this, there were the 2 episodes following were the Flame Pokemonathon and the Kangaskhan Kid, which both of those were true. Everything in it happened. It's canon. But after this, there was a bit of a skip in the English dub, which actually there was a good reason for that. See, truth be told, that story about the Dratini and the gun-wielding warden are complete nonsense. Like, here's the truth of it. Yes, we went to the Safari Zone. Yes, we saw a Dratini. But the story that took place, the warden was not some gun-wielding asshole like you might have believed. He was actually just an old man who lost his teeth. And in this one, yes, we ended up catching all those Tauros, and we ended up actually helping this guy out because we helped him out with finding the teeth, and it turned out that the teeth were actually inside the lake, and it was Dratini and Dragonair who actually went in to save the day by finding the teeth for us. So that's what really happened when we were in the Safari Zone. None of that stuff about some gun-wielding warden or any of that stuff. It's all lies. No wonder they skipped it for American releases. Now, after this happened, the next events were the Bridge Bike Gang and Ditto's Mysterious Mansion, and these 2 episodes are true. The only big difference here is that it wasn't Charmander who ended up defeating that biker punk's golem, it was actually Squirtle, which, when you really think about it, makes a lot more sense considering that Charmander would have had a disadvantage against the golem. And yeah, it was actually Squirtle who was able to win with a type advantage. Now, after this, the next episode is the controversial Porygon episode that you were shown. Well, maybe you were shown if you downloaded it online or were in Japan when it happened. But anyways, this episode did not take place, so that whole seizure stuff with Porygon, it's filler. Never happened, and the 2 holiday episodes following didn't happen either, which, of course, makes sense because when you really think about it, it wouldn't have worked in this continuity anyways. And come on, guys. We all know Santa doesn't really exist. Sorry to burst your bubble. So why would Santa even appear to us with a jinx or any of that stuff? It never took place. Sorry, guys. Now after that, we get 2 episodes that you probably remember quite well. Pikachu's Goodbye and Battling Eevee Brothers. Both of these were completely true. Don't worry, Pikachu. I remember, we didn't end up leaving after all. We will always be together. And so yeah, those both happened. It's all canon. And after that, we get the episode known as Wake Up Snorlax, where there was a Snorlax that was blocking the way. Now this actually was true, but there's a small difference that you may not have realized. You see, believe it or not, I actually caught that Snorlax. It wasn't in Orange Islands where I caught Snorlax, I actually got him here. This was what really happened. After he woke up, I battled him, Bulbasaur and Squirtle managed to overpower his Snorlax, and I managed to capture him. That was what really happened, and then, as you can imagine, since I already had 6 Pokemon, much like Krabby, Snorlax was sent to Professor Oak. And I'm pretty sure that Professor Oak has had trouble keeping his food supply up, but then again, that always seems to be the case whenever I send him a new Pokemon. They always seem to inconvenience him. And in this case, the problem is all his food is going out. So that's what really happened right there. Now, as you'll recall, after these events, the episode Showdown at Dark City, you know, the one where those 2 competing gyms, the one with the Scyther versus the one with the Electabuzz, took place, those are both canon, they happened, everything about them is true. But following this, you'll recall that the 2 episodes after that are March of the Executor Squad and Problem with Paris. Now, as I already brought up, Charmander has already evolved. So, what happened to these episodes? The answer is simple. They didn't happen. They're both filler, can disregard them. They are not canon. I already got my Charmander to evolve, and he's already a Charizard. So, you can ignore those completely. Now after this, as you recall, the Jigglypuff episode and the Fossil episode were originally shown to be next, but actually, as you'll remember, those took place earlier, so disregard those. Following that, the episodes Chansey Operation and Holy Matrimony, not Holy Matrimony, So Near Yet So Far-Fetched, those two were both filler, they didn't really happen. That stuff about Pokemon doctors and all that stuff, no, it's not true. Following that, however, the Holy Matrimony episode that we all know and love as the one about James's backstory, that did indeed happen. And boy, Jezebel was sure an interesting character. Now following this, we get the episode where Togepi does hatch. And yes, all that is canon, it happened at the exact time it did as always, so nothing new to report about that. After this, we get the Bulbasaur's Mysterious Garden episode, which you might remember. It was the one where you think that Bulbasaur never wants to evolve. Well, this episode is not entirely true. And while, yes, at first it's true that Bulbasaur did resist evolution, however, it's worth noting that at the end of the episode, after saving everyone from Team Rocket, Bulbasaur actually did have a change of heart and did in fact evolve into Ivysaur. And luckily for me, unlike Charmeleon, Ivysaur did indeed decide to obey me. So now I have an Ivysaur. It wasn't anything about Bulbasaur not wanting to evolve, he was just hesitant because he wasn't ready yet. But after saving the day, he felt he had earned the right to evolve.